Hello, my name is Glenn, and today I'll be talking about the company background and the management approach. So, for the company background, Petronas was founded in 1974 and owned by the government of Malaysia. The company is engaged in both broad spectrum of petroleum activity, including upstream exploration and production of oil and gas to downstream oil refining, marketing and distribution of petroleum products, and many more. Not only that, Petronas also provide a substantial source of income for the Malaysian government, accounting for more than 50% of the government revenue from 2050 to 2022. Since its incorporation, Petronas has evolved in an integrated worldwide oil and gas company with operation in 35 countries since its establishment. The company also has 103 total owned subsidiaries, 90 partly owned outfit, and 57 linked enterprises as of the end of March 2005. Some of the achievement that achieved by the company is in the 2070 Forbes Global 2000, Petronas was ranked at 1,881st, and Petronas also ranked 48 globally in the 2002 Bentley Infrastructure 500. Now, moving on to the management approach. So, operating segment is a component of an organization that engages in business activity that consists of earning revenue and incurring expenses, for which the entity chief operating decision maker will review the operating result systematically in order to make decision for the resources to be allocated to the segment and evaluate their performance, and for which the discrete financial information is accessible. So, next, we'll be looking into factors considered having a segment reporting. So, firstly, we have to look to the nature of product and services. So, Petronas is engaged in a broad spectrum of petroleum activity, but Petronas Gas Berhad is mainly involved in the provision of gas processing and transmission services to Petronas and its client. Next, we'll be looking to the type of class of customer for the product and services. So, Petronas Gas Berhad have both local and international customer. The company successfully distributes their product and services across countries in Malaysia and also international customer, for example in China, Indonesia, Belgium, and more. Petronas Gas Berhad segmentation of customer is mainly based on the demographic and physiographic segmentation. And lastly, we will be looking to the method used to distribute the product or provide the service. So, Petronas Gas Berhad distribute the processed gas transmitted via the Peninsula Gas Utilization, or commonly known as PGU transmission grid. The country's longest pipeline, which span over 2,000 kilometers across the Peninsula Malaysia. Now, on to the type of segment. According to MFRS 8 operating segment can be classified into two types, which are business segment and geographical segment. The definition of business segment is a component of an entity that engages in giving an individual or group of related products and services that based on the risk and return that are distinct from those of other businesses, while geographical segment is a segment that engages in providing individual product or service within a specific economic environment that is subject to risk and return that are different from those other economic environment. The business segment for Petronas Gas Berhad is gas processing and transmission segment. The gas processing and transmission is the major business activity for Petronas Gas Berhad, since it not only processes the raw gas but also in charge of distributing the processed gas to Petronas and its customer. Petronas Gas Berhad has a wide geographical segment as the entity distributes their product domestically and internationally. The company export their products to 35 countries. Next, we'll be looking into the Chief of Decision Making. So, Chief Operating Decision Maker refers to a position that is not always held by a manager with a particular title. The purpose is to evaluate the company's operating segment performance and allocate resources accordingly. A group of executive director, the chief executive officer, the chief operational officer, or maybe both, may take the decision on behalf of the company. So, the chief of decision making for Petronas Gas Berhad is the board of directors. So, here are some examples of the board of directors that are the chief of decision making. So, the first is Mr. Adnan Zainul Abidin, who is the group chairman. So, his main responsibility to ensure the board is running smoothly. The group chairman must lead the company by setting the value and ethical standard, and his responsibility is also to conduct board meetings and promote discussion of corporate issues to encourage board members to offer suggestions and ideas. And the next example is Mr. Abdul Aziz Othman, where he is the managing director / chief executive director. His main responsibility is to manage the company business and to ensure ongoing enhancement to the goods and services value and quality. His responsibility also continues to foster a supportive and moral work environment in order to recruit, retrain, and inspire employees.
Assalamualaikum, my name is Muhammad SHAHRIZAL and I'm going to present about segmental report and advantages and disadvantages of segment reporting. For the first 10% threshold test criteria, a reportable segment must meet any one of three threshold tests of 10%, which are revenue, results, or assets. So we choose result method since the report did show the required figures and information to calculate on results method. Result method is calculated by dividing profit or loss of each segment with total combined profit of all segments. If the percentage is more than 10%, then the segment is reportable. But if it less than 10%, according to paragraph 14, it can be a reportable segment despite its size, combined with other similar segments that are also below 10%, or included as an all other segments category, but with conditions: one, they have a similar economic characteristics, and second one, and share a majority of aggregation criteria listed in paragraph 12. Based on our calculation of result method, gas processing is reportable since the percentage of revenue is 29%, gas transportation is 19%, regasification is 23%, and utilities is 29%. So all the segments are reportable. 75% constraints are calculated by dividing total of all combined revenue of reportable segments over the total consolidated or entity revenue. So it shall be more than 75% to pass the revenue criteria. So if the reportable segment do not meet 75%, additional segment should be identified as reportable segment to meet the 75% of the total consolidated or the entity revenue, even if they do not meet the 10% threshold test. Since the total revenue of all segments is equivalent to the entity revenue, the percentage of revenue is 100%. So the conclusion is the segments is reportable. The advantages of segment reporting: firstly, it is well monitored by Chief of Decision Making (CDM) to ensure every information is complete and covered. Second one, able to identify and learn more which segments that contribute the most to the entity revenue. And thirdly, transparency, where all the information about each segment is presented as required by the standard. Meanwhile, the disadvantages: firstly, competitors have access to the reports to study the company's ability. Second one, different types of inter-segment transactions such as inter-segment transfer calculations using cost, market value, or cost plus methods result in different operating results. And lastly, it is unaudited, so which means that it is exposed to any data manipulation.
Hello
Hello, I'm IZZUDIN, and now we will be discussing on Part B, interim reporting. Before we go further, what is an interim report? An interim report is a set of companies' financial statements for a period shorter than a financial year. An interim report can be prepared monthly or quarterly or ad hoc when it is required to evaluate a company's financial performance and position at any given time. Now, let's start with the basis of preparation of interim report of Petronas Berhad. Petronas Berhad adopts the discrete method on reporting the interim report. Discrete method takes view that each interim period should be treated as an accounting period distinct from the annual cycle, which is transactions are treated according to the same principle as are applied at the year end. Based on MFRS 134 interim financial reporting, Petronas Berhad accounting policies and presentation for this interim financial report are aligned or consistent with those adopted for the financial statements for the financial year, which is the latest one. Hence, Petronas Berhad may recognize their income and expenses on a basis consistent with that in use with the preparation of financial statements. Now, I would like to discuss on one of two accounting policies that have been identified and was used in preparing the interim report. For property, plant, equipment, Petronas Gas Berhad have adopted the cost model approach, in which states add cost less accumulated depreciation and accumulated impairment losses can be found out from Note 7 of explanatory notes in pursuant to MFRS 134. The depreciation method, on the other hand, that was used is the straight line basis over the estimated useful lives of each component of an item of property, plant, equipment apart from land, as it is a non-depreciable asset. As seen in the table is the estimated useful lives of the property, plant, equipment. Information were gathered from the latest annual financial statement notes to financial statements of Petronas Gas Berhad as of 31st December 2021. Next accounting policy is the valuation of fixed asset. Petronas Gas Berhad have opted to use the valuation method in valuing their fixed asset. Level 1 and Level 2 fair value hierarchy applied as their references. Level 1, quoted prices unadjusted in active markets for identical assets or liabilities. Level 2, input other than quoted prices included within Level 1 that are observable for the asset or liability either directly as prices or indirectly derived from price. Hence, the group recognizes transfers between levels of fair value hierarchy as of the date of the event or change in circumstances that caused the transfers. Moving on to types of interim report. Petronas Gas Berhad prepared a condensed interim financial report for the company quarterly, which starts from 1 July 2022 rather than preparing a complete interim financial report. The condensed version is of that the content prepared includes all each headings and subtotal that was included in its most recent annual financial statements. Furthermore, MFRS 134 interim financial reporting has required selected explanatory notes which focus on the significant changes in financial position since last reporting date, disclose the basic and diluted earnings per share of which the report must be prepared in consolidated basis. Thus, it can be noted that Petronas Gas Berhad does in fact produce a condensed set of financial statements, whereby statements include headings and subtotal as per latest annual financial statements, as well as basic diluted earnings per share on the face of income statement. This can all be shown in the Petronas Berhad quarterly report for the third quarter ended 30th September 2022.
Hello, my name is SHAHRIL and I will present the period of current and comparative statements. For the statement of financial position, the current interim report is from 1st January until 31st December 2022. Meanwhile, for comparative interim report, it is from 1st January until 31st December 2021. For statement of profit or loss and other comprehensive income, it is prepared from 1st July until 30 September 2022 as for current interim report. Meanwhile, for comparative interim report, it is also prepared at the same period last year, 2021. Next, statement of changes in equity. It is prepared from 1st January until 31st December 2022 for the current interim report. Same goes to comparative interim report. The period is same for the previous year, which is 2021. For statement of cash flows, the basis period is the same like statement of changes in equity. Next, we will look at the first adjustment. On 1st July 2022, Petronas acquired plant and equipment costing of Rm 3,960,000. It has accumulated depreciation amounting Rm 396,000 and the depreciation method is 10% yearly basis. It is the company policy to adopt the cost model to account its property, plant and equipment. The company bought a new equipment amounting Rm 825,000. On 1st September 2022, one of its equipment with a carrying amount of Rm 1,800,000 was disposed and the profit is Rm 65,000. The equipment was purchased at cost of Rm 2,200,000. So, the adjustment will be like this. Under non-current asset, the current amount of property, plant and equipment will be added with the new carrying value as shown in the second table. The balance of property, plant and equipment amounting of Rm 3,960,000 minus with disposal of Rm 1,800,000 and then plus with the purchase of new equipment Rm 825,000. The total cost as at 30 September 2022 is Rm 2,960,000. After that, we need to deduct the accumulated depreciation. The balance as at 1st July 2022 is Rm 396,000 minus with the disposal value of Rm 400,000 and then plus with the charge of the year amounting of Rm 222,000. The total accumulated depreciation as at 30 September 2022 is Rm 280,000. So, cost of Rm 2,960,000 minus with accumulated depreciation of Rm 218,000 equal to Rm 2,742,000. Hence, the new value of property, plant and equipment for the third quarter ended 30 September 2022 is Rm 15,931,483. Next, second adjustment. Petronas sells its merchandise and accepts both cash and credit transactions. On 8 August 2022, the company closed off a business deal with RHR Hotel Unit 10 for the merchandise costing Rm 5,000. The customer fully paid the total invoice on 2nd September 2022 via online banking. The effect of journal entry is debit bank Rm 5,000 and credit trade receivables RHR Hotel Rm 5,000. In its statement of financial position for the third quarter ended 30 September 2022, under current asset, there will be two adjustments. First, the amount of trade and other receivables need to be deducted with Rm 5,000. So the new value is Rm 39,830. Meanwhile, for cash and cash equivalents, Rm 5,000 need to be added, making its new value Rm 4,131,021.